This might actually be a combination of get woke, go broke, and the left eating its own. But I think it's actually a bigger umbrella of corporate feminism and corporate activism just doesn't work. Okay? Woke band Green Day is writing a handbook for feminists. Feminists are not having it. For good reason, actually. Now, you may be thinking, oh, these feminists are always angry about everything. The left is always eating their own. But hold on. First of all, corporate activism, in my opinion, is typically pretty stupid, right? Like I trust this big, I don't know, a 30 or 40-year-old band to understand contemporary politics and to be to actually mean it when they want to write something about activism. I don't believe that's the case. Like Gillette, I don't think Gillette actually cares about any of these things when they did that ad about toxic masculinity. I think they're just trying to play up to what they think is trendy and hip. It's not. Green Day, apparently still around and making music, announced Wednesday that it's issuing its first graphic novel, a handbook for the modern American woman and every woman who refuses to capitulate, and feminists aren't amused. Well, the reason for that is because Green Day is a bunch of dudes. So why would a bunch of dudes write a book for women? It's actually kind of funny, but let's read this. I was thinking I didn't want to do a video about something as silly as this, but I was laughing so much reading this, I decided this is it. We're going to talk about this article. The graphic novel titled Last of the American Girls will hit store shelves in October and is billing itself as an indispensable guide for women looking to maintain and cultivate that punk rock edge. In a decreasingly punk rock world, according to the novel's publisher, HarperCollins, it's a rallying cry for all rebel girls. A rallying cry from a bunch of dudes who I believe are in their 50s and haven't really been punk rock for 30 years. The team behind the novel is, of course, entirely male. Green Day's lead vocalist and guitarist is Billy Joe Armstrong, joined on bass by Mike Dirnt and drums by aptly named Trey Cool. Listen, I can play a ton of Green Day songs on the guitar. I still play, I tell my I can't say its name because it'll turn on, but you know what I'm talking about, my voice-activated device. I play Green Day songs. I like Green Day. It's nice pop punk. I wouldn't call it anything particularly edgy or rebellious. No, it's quite family-friendly and mainstream. But let's read on. They've all been with the band since the 1990s. Before they hit it big with their 1994 rock and punk album, Dookie, the band hired a male illustrator cartoonist Frank Caruso to do the ink work. It's not clear exactly what advice the book will give today's liberated woman, but The Last of the American Girls, that's the title of it, is the title of one of the band's songs of their most recent album's 21st Century Breakdown. It could just be the song lyrics with illustrations, or it could be a comprehensive guide to third-wave feminism written by a team of men. Feminists, of course, not typically ones to give the benefit of the doubt, immediately assumed Last of the American Girls will be the latter, and accordingly took to social media to voice their concern. This is great. There are a lot of people associated with the regressive identitarian left that I'm not going to particularly agree with at all. But I gotta say, this tweet here from Andy Zeisler, what rebellious every woman among us has not longed for an inspiring handbook authored and illustrated by, checks notes, 4 men and 0 women. I gotta agree. Now look, I'm not saying men can't write something for women. Men have a perspective. They're half the population. And it would be probably a good thing to explore the minds of men and how they view the world, especially when it comes to issues of women. I can respect that. But Rolling Stone, Green Day will release their first book, an inspiring homage and handbook for the rebellious every woman who refuses to capitulate, called Last of the American Girls. It's a handbook, which typically, means it's going to be like instructions. Gonna have to just go out here and say men and women are different in many different ways, particularly biologically, and the experiences they have are probably particularly very, very different. And although a man could probably provide some general human insights and advice, a handbook specifically for women, not entirely sure. I mean, when it comes to feminism, that a group of dudes should be writing that. But again, you know what? I'm not saying they shouldn't. I'm just saying when it comes to a smart business decision and something that's going to actually sell, I look at it like the analogy I often use is the flavor of ice cream. So this to me sounds like Green Day is putting together, chocolate asparagus ice cream. It's like, yeah, you can make it. I'm sure there's some good things about it. Might not be that bad, actually. Doesn't seem like your target audience is going to want to consume something like that. Some people will definitely do it, but maybe it should be spearheaded by a feminist. Look, the reason I bring this, what I'm trying to get at, I guess, is I don't trust male feminists, okay, for a few reasons. The idea of feminism, like the real idea of equality between the sexes, if women are strong and capable, they don't need male feminists to step up and try and stick their nose into the business and figure things out for the women. That's kind of contradictory. So for me, I've always been like, I understand the concept of an ally, for instance. Like, hey man, you do your thing. I won't stand in your way. Let me know if you need a ride to the airport or something. I'll be there to help out. As opposed to actually spearheading a book for women. You see the difference? So to me, I kind of view male feminists as sneaky for two reasons. In two ways, I should say. This, to me, sounds like a desperate, aging punk band that doesn't actually understand contemporary politics is trying to sell a product and make money. They're trying to maintain their street cred. So, feminism. That's sneaky, okay? I don't believe these 50-year-old men actually know or care about what's going on. Like, seriously, I don't know. Is the dude 50? Let me check. So first of all, this band has been around since the year I was born, and I'm 33. And Billy Joe Armstrong, he's 47. Okay, he's 40. He's not 50. He's 47. Pretty old, okay? He's got 14 years on me. And when I see this story, I kind of just assume it's a corporate play by a multi-millionaire mega corporate band. Listen, I grew up listening to Green Day. My cover band, I had a band. I don't want to say cover band, but we wrote original songs. I still do. We played a bunch of Green Day songs. I used to have a bunch of their tab books. So tab books is like, for people who don't know how to read music. And I played their songs. Today, they're in their late 40s. They're writing music that was popular in the 90s. It's very simple, three-piece, not contemporary. It's just, this to me seems like they're out of it. They have, let me tell you something. There was a period where a bunch of famous punk people, or someone in particular, said that Green Day killed punk because they wrote an album that was like acoustic, family-friendly punk rock, like pop punk. And so they got really mad and then wrote American Idiot. That's my understanding. I could be wrong, right? But that's what everyone, kind of believed, at least in Chicago. And American Idiot was more trying to be critical of the government because, of course, the style of punk can only be critical of the government. That's what makes it punk. I'm being somewhat facetious. But they tried to then, they wrote the song American Idiot, among other things, 21 Guns and all that stuff. And then they tried to sort of get their street cred back. And this is what they're apparently doing now. But let's read some more of the hilarious criticism. One person said, yeah, that's what we need, a handbook for female rebellion written by men. Yes. This woman said, boys, I love you with all my heart and would happily take several bullets for you. But don't you think the main rule to being an independent woman is in punk should be to, not be told how to live their lives by men who have no experience in what it's like to live as a woman? Or it's just an attempt to make money? I think it's that simple. Like, criticize them all you want. They're going to make money on this. Actually, no. Hold on, back up. This is why I said it may be a combination of get woke, go broke, and the left eating their own. Because here we have some male feminists producing some feminist literature, graphic novel, and a lot of feminists probably won't buy it because in combination with the left eating their own, they're going to not sell any of these books, or at least not enough of them to actually make it worth their while. In which case, it's a combination of getting woke and going broke while being eaten. It's like an Ouroboros of left-wing self-destruction. Although several outlets reached out to Green Day for clarification on the subject of whether they are dropping a graphic novel about feminism written entirely by men, neither the band nor the publicist have responded. Being on the wrong side of the woke is likely a new experience for Green Day. Whether the criticism is warranted or not, the band has hailed itself as something of a punk rock protest band in years after penning their rock opera titled American Idiot as a way of fighting back against the Afghanistan and Iraq wars, during the George W. Bush years. The trio eventually turned American Idiot into a successful Broadway musical, and after staying largely silent during the Obama administration, really? This is why I don't like these people, Did I like Bush? Of course not. Did I like Obama? Of course not. You know why? Here's what I tell people. Obama was George W. Bush with a smile. That's seriously it. Because Obama carried out the same policies, it actually expanded the drone policies. He killed 4 American citizens without charge or trial, extrajudicial assassinations. Yes, Obama did a whole bunch of really, really awful things. So to me, I understand when it comes to domestic policy, there was a difference. But as far as I'm concerned with war and conflict, Obama was Bush with a smile. Right? Maybe offensive to some people who liked Bush. I don't know. But Obama, I do not think. I think Obama was charismatic and awful. So, the charisma, what happens? You know what? This is a good point. Staying largely silent during the Obama administration. Yeah, you know why? Because they don't actually believe any of this stuff. There's nothing within me that would convince me Billy Joe, Trey, and Mike Dirnt actually know or care about half the things they claim to be singing about. Because how generic is it to write a rebellious girl, novel? You want to talk about what's punk rock? Let me tell you what's punk rock. Challenging those who would restrict freedoms, challenging bullies, challenging authoritarianism, not siding with outrage culture, the people who want to shut down speech, the people who are getting people fired from their jobs for saying bad words. Those are not punk. That is not punk rock. Punk is fighting back against an oppressive system. Punk is standing up for individuality. You know, punks used to wear freaky, weird clothes. It was, at least in part, a representation of pushing back against the establishment and identifying yourself as a unique individual. Do you think these people are unique individuals who are pushing back against the system? Hell no. These are corporate millionaire punk rock, pop punk bands that are writing a male feminist graphic novel. That's about as establishment as you can get right now. Do you think what we're seeing on MSNBC and Vox.com is punk rock? Please. Now, I know you got people like Paul Joseph Watson saying conservatism is the new counterculture. And while I personally wouldn't go that far, conservatism, in my opinion, is literally the opposite. It is the traditional. It is upholding order. It's not always authoritarian or anything like that. For the most part, you can be traditional and conservative and maintain order and still respect freedom and liberty. And that's one of the things I think a lot of people are talking about. And Paul's probably making reference to resisting the authoritarian regressive mob. But pushing back against any and all unearned or fake authority, challenging those in power, that's punk rock. So I like to imagine that while I would never claim to know better than someone like Green Day, maybe that's punk rock today. Maybe this is what it evolved into. I don't know where I am, but I'll tell you what. You want to talk about pushing back against the system and being an individual? It ain't you. Absolutely not you. Here we go. They say the Obama administration, yada, yada, yada. At one point, the lead singer Armstrong even demanded that Trump supporters stop listening to Green Day's music after a fan noted that Armstrong's virulent anti-Trump tweets would do little to change the mind of fans who support the president. They even included an anti-Trump protest song, Back in the USA, as a bonus feature on their 2017 Greatest Hits album. But even the wokest among us are not wokest for long. Yes. You grew up. You were fake punk. I mean, look, I'm going to say this. As much as I was a fan of Green Day growing up, I don't see them as actual punk. I think there's a lot of naive punk, punk kind of in some way insinuates lack of understanding and naivety. But Green Day is almost as corporate as you get, man. Like, come on. You guys are mainstream pop music. You are not some underground system challenging, all that is. I'm not going to sit here and disagree, however, to an extent. Look, if you want to write an anti-Trump protest song, absolutely. I'm not. Here's the thing. We'll go on a little bit longer. I don't like Trump, but here's how I put it. As a center-left individual, I don't like Trump, and that's about it. He doesn't make me overtly angry. Sometimes he makes me roll my eyes. He makes me go, ugh. But that's about it. Whereas you have these Trump derangement people who are like shrieking. What is this story? There's like a woman went to a Starbucks, started screaming at some old man for wearing a MAGA hat. Yeah, I'm sorry. My emotions are in control. I can recognize there are things about this man I don't like, and that's about it. So I'll say this. By all means, Billy Joe, by all means, Mike and Trey, write your anti-Trump protest song. I look forward to hearing your anti-media, anti-corporate Democrat. Oh, what's that? They were mostly silent during the Obama administration? You see, this is why I don't trust these people. I have no, I'll say this. You write an anti-Trump protest song, you have my respect. Let me hear what you have to say. You're gonna write anti-establishment in general and go after the other people on the other side who advocate for war, who voted for us to stay in Syria. I'd love to hear all of the songs you wrote during the Obama administration about Obama's foreign intervention. How about the extrajudicial assassination of a 16-year-old American boy? How about the 3 other Americans who, well, look, I get it. You want to talk about Abdul Rahman al-Awlaki and Anwar al-Awlaki, 2 of the most notable extrajudicial assassinations carried out by Obama. We can talk about how Abdul Rahman was a 16-year-old American who wasn't involved in anything other than the fact that he had a bad dad. And when asked about it, I can't remember the exact politician, but Luke Rudkowski of We Are Change asked, I think it might have been Peter King, I think this was Charlie Gibbs. He said, should have had a better dad. Oh, so when the Obama administration literally drone bombed a civilian cafe, killing a 16-year-old American, your response should have better dad. This is why I don't like Obama. I'd love to hear your song about that. And you know what? I'll be the first to say, if you did talk about that, I apologize for not knowing. I apologize for assuming you didn't. But I ask you to please understand why I'm going to go ahead and assume you don't actually care about what the government is doing. You're selling a male feminist book. They don't like it. It sounds to me like you're just trying to make money off the backs of activism. I'm done. I'll see you guys at 1 p.m. More videos coming up later today.